morning, I'm Gretchen Ho. It is a Monday, the last day, the 31st day of March, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. Duterte supporters in The Hague, Netherlands, organized a motorcade urging the International Criminal Court to return former President Rodrigo Duterte to the Philippines. Protests also took place in other countries, including Qatar, where 17 Filipinos were arrested due to the lack of a demonstration permit. More than 1,700 people were killed in Myanmar following a magnitude 7.7 earthquake, and 4 Filipinos are still missing. A road rage turned to a shooting incident in Antipolo on Sunday. The suspect is now in police custody, facing 3 counts of frustrated murder after injuring 3 people. And let's talk about today's pressing issues, of course, politics with senatorial candidate Ariel Querubin. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda. Duterte supporters in The Hague, Netherlands, held a motorcade calling on the International Criminal Court to send former President Rodrigo Duterte back to the Philippines. Here's the report.
Motorcycles and bicycles took off one by one, while hundreds of overseas Filipino supporters of former President Rodrigo Duterte marched from the International Criminal Court to Scheveningen in prison in The Hague, Netherlands. They also stopped by the Philippine Embassy before continuing their demonstration. This marked the first time they organized a motorcade demanding Duterte's return to the Philippines. Initially planned for the former president's birthday on March 28, the event was postponed to a later date.
Naiinip na rin kami kasi kumbaga hindi naman dapat Kasi unang-una tayo bilang Pilipino, tayo na may hustisya sa ating bansang sinilangan. Dapat kung may pagkakasala, doon siya litigation, hindi dito sa international.
But ICC Assistant to Counsel Attorney Cristina Conti said Duterte's camp has yet to request interim release. Even after Duterte's 80th birthday, Filipinos continued gathering outside the detention center, sharing food and showing solidarity. However, no family members were seen visiting him at the facility on Saturday. To keep morale high, Senator Robin Padilla engaged with supporters, taking photos and joining in songs.
Mukhang hindi na ito politika lamang, ito ay mga Pilipinong naninindigan na ang Pilipinas, soberanyang bansa, malaya, independyente at dapat hindi nakikialam ang mga dayuhan.
Former presidential spokesperson Attorney Harry Roque also joined the crowd in dancing, proudly announcing himself as a bona fide asylum seeker after the Netherlands reportedly approved his application. This despite Malacanang's calls for him to return to the Philippines and face charges. Roque even joked that Duterte's detention may have somehow benefited the Netherlands.
Kinakailangan meron ng bayad si President Duterte dahil siya ang pinaka number 1 tourist attraction ngayon dito sa Netherlands.
Meanwhile, Roque appealed to Qatari authorities following the arrest of several Filipinos who held a pro-Duterte demonstration without a permit on the former president's birthday.
Please show maximum tolerance to Filipinos who only wanted to show their love to President Rodrigo Roa Duterte. They cannot accept the fact that he is now here at The Hague, held as prisoner by Westerners.
Duterte's camp said they cannot stop Filipinos from expressing their support and expect the gatherings to continue daily until their calls for his return are heard.
For more updates on that, we have Mon Gualvez and Jovi Francisco who joins us live from The Hague, Netherlands. Magandang umaga sa inyong dalawa. Nasaan kayo ngayon? Unahin muna natin ang ating bagong dating. Si Mon muna, nasaan ka ngayon?
Hi Gretchen, good morning from The Hague, Netherlands. I am still here, or I am now here in The Hague, Netherlands. It's already 2 a.m. This time. Medyo malamig
Kakarating mo lang?
Yeah, I arrived here this weekend.
So meron na tayong mga nasubaybayan. Si Jovi, ikaw naman, mukhang nandiyan ka pa rin, ano?
Nakatawa ako kasi biniktima niyo si Mon Alam niyo naman na umaga. kakaset lang nung na para maging
Daytime
para
savings.
yung daytime savings. So parang iba yung oras natin from Manila and here. So talagang pinalabas yung wala. Ako kasi di ba sabi ko sa'yo, yung unang araw ko rin sa labas ako ng report. Pero ngayon, sa kwarto na.
Ganyan din ako
Unang
nung
araw
mga
lang
unang
ginawa to,
gabi
sir.
ko.
Unang
Oo.
araw.
Ganyan din ako, parang Simon, mga ilang gabi kung tiniis yung lamig na yan, hanggang di ko na kaya. Okay, let's get down to business. What were the highlights over the weekend? What happened? We saw Harry Roque standing in front of a crowd. Was there a protest rally again, or was that just a gathering? Who would like to take that? Jovi?
Hayaan natin si Mondo. Si Mondo nag-cover ng buong weekend sige, mamaya meron akong input tungkol dun sa kay VP
Kay
Sara.
Harry.
Head Mondo.
Okay, sige. Well, Gretchen, ang dami pa rin supporters na dumating dito sa The Hague, Netherlands, although it's a weekend, so they don't have to go to work. That's why most overseas Filipinos went in from other countries here in Europe. No, talaga namang kahit tapos na yung birthday, 80th birthday ni dating Pangulong Duterte, they still make time to do some, actually it's not a protest, no? They make programs, pero mostly parang nakikiselebrate sila sa birthday ng dating presidente. Although, nandun pa rin yung appeal nila that President Duterte na maibalik sana sa Pilipinas at don't litisin dahil nga they still believe that we have sovereignty at this issue at meron naman tayong justice system, so why other countries bakit kailangan sila manghimasok eventually dito sa issue ito, no? So nagkaroon nga kanina during with the report that we have showed, there's a first time na nagkaroon ng motorcade, umikot yan dito sa some parts of The Hague from the International Criminal Court office up to the prison or detention facility. Pumunta rin sila sa may tapat ng embassy and even sa International Gay Statue. So inikutan nila yan. It's the first time they really made an effort to ask permit for that para masagawa ito. And during this weekend, actually yesterday, talagang ang dami pa rin, no? Ang dami pa rin supporters sa labas nitong detention facility. Ito yung mga humabol at hindi nakasama last Friday and Saturday. So, same. May mga prayers, may mga prayer activities, merong mga parang mga at least a simple and short program. At yun nga, most of them are really chanting, especially when, kumbaga, mga significant people or somehow yung mga personalities went in at nakikita nila, mas nagkakaroon sila ng talagang para na-excite, no, yung mga overseas Filipinos here, Gretch.
Okay, we saw a video gone viral with a Dutch police officer saying that yung permit nyo lang ay para sa picnic, no? So effectively, yung gathering na ito ay walang permit, tama ba? At gaano katagal nagstay yung mga Pilipino? Yung videos ba na nakikita natin, that was over the weekend? Because we also saw that on Friday during the birthday of the former president, that day itself.
Actually, yung park outside the detention facility, doon nagsasagawa ng mga picnic, ng mga programs. Yung sinisita ng Dutch police, yung kasi yung mga lumalampas doon sa park, they are very strict here na dapat yung area mo doon ka lang kasi they don't want na makaabala sa mga nagba-bicycle, mga motorcycle riders. So, lumalampas kasi yung dami ng mga Pilipino, lumalampas sila doon sa park, kaya nasisita sila eventually dito sa area. Pero hindi naman talaga sila pinagbawalan na magsagawa ng mga programs during this weekend, Gretchen.
So it was generally peaceful, your assessment of the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday?
Yes, it was generally peaceful. Talagang naisagawa pa rin naman ng mga protesters or ng mga supporters yung kanilang demonstration, yung kanilang love and support to the former president. Gretchen.
Okay, Jovi, with regard to the vice president, there was a soundbite that I'm curious about where she said that former President Duterte requested the followers not to comment on the case itself before the ICC. Bakit kaya ganon? Ano? Bakit kaya ganon yung naging panawagan ni dating Pangulo?
Understandable yun kasi 'di ba before mag-speech si VP nung Friday late afternoon. Parang ayun na yung time. Gretch, I'm sure you're aware dun sa bashing na ginagawa ng mga followers and supporters doon sa mismong nitty-gritty nung kaso. At saka maski yung mga yung mga officials ng ICC nasasali doon sa mga online bashing. So kumbaga okay lang daw sabi ng dating pangulo na magalit sila, i-express yung galit nila, pero tanggalin yung sa usapin yung actual yung actual legal process at saka yung yung kaso mismo ay wag i-discuss. So, pinaalala yon. Yun ang isa sa mga unang-unang sinabi ni Vice President doon sa kanyang medyo mahabang speech. You know what's interesting, Gretchen? Just moments after that speech, ambush interview, ang unang ginawa ni Vice President ay talakayin yung kaso mismo. And isa pa yan sa naging viral at saka isa pa yan sa pinag-uusapan ngayon dyan sa Manila at mga lawyers ay nag-chime in because pinintas na yung kung matibay ba yung mga evidence ng sinumite, pinintasan niya yung number 30,000, ano yung mga names ng mga yon. Tapos sinasabi rin niya paano daw may establish na ganung karami namatay pero mga 43 lang naman talaga included sa case. So mga ganyang hirit ni Inibisit. At ang pinakadulo kasi noon, which is the clincher of it all, nung sinabi niya yung word na bobo doon pertaining to kung sino yung mga nagpo-push nung narrative daw na or yung hindi man narrative tawag doon kundi kung bakit merong pattern pero parang ba't gano'n nakakonte. Okay, so alam mo, nagkataon nung gabing yon, parating pa lang si Mon noon, dumating nagpatawag yung kabilang side, yung anti-Duterte groups ng press ko. Nagkataon nandun si Attorney Conti, Chrissy Conti. So tinanong namin siya at sinabi ni Attorney Chrissy Conti na hindi nga tungkol sa number yan at saka parang kahit isa lang nakamatayan niya o pagpatay yan, pwede nang makakita ng pattern from that case alone. So tsaka sinabi rin niya na kung talagang ganyan paninindigan ni Vice President, dapat daw sabihin niya yan mismo sa ICC. So ganon. Ganyan nung naging takbo ng mga usapin dito, Gretchen.
Actually, ito nga, nagbabasa nga ako, along those lines, kasi may parang article na lumabas that there was a Rwandan politician, Jean Paul Akayesu, who was found to have participated in the killing of 3 civilians, pero nakasuhan siya, convicted siya of crimes against humanity. So, kumbaga, yun talaga yung parang pamamaraan. Hindi, wala siya doon I mean, you can't have all the victims before the court. So, yun naman ang sinabi ni Attorney Cristina Conti dito sa nabasa ko.
Yes. Kasi merong si Cristina Conti, inamos siya interview namin doon sa event nung Bayan Europa. Pero, kinabukasan, naglabas siya ng yung siyempre yung sagot niya doon is yung parang for soundbite purposes. Naglabas siya kinabukasan nung mas mahaba na may legal explanation at kasama nga dyan yung nabasa mo, Gretchen. So, alam natin na marami pang ibang lawyers ang nag-chime in dyan, lalo yung mga nakabase dyan sa Manila. Mahabang usapin to pati dyan. Sabi na nga nung tatay, wag na raw muna pag-usapan yung legal process Pero
actually,
ayan
naisip ko yun, tinatanong ko yun dahil naisip ko kung, or nag-wonder ako kung nakikinig ba yung ICC dun sa mga posts online. Because another argument by the Duterte supporters when I was there, when I was covering, was that ang pinatay naman niya yung mga kriminal, yung mga addict, yung mga nangre-rape, to keep everyone safe. So in effect, it is also like confirming from a third-person point of view that these actually happened. Pero ito yung paninindigan namin na mas safe yung community namin dahil may pagpatay. Or siya yung naging cause ng mga pagpatay. Yun ang kaya iniisip ko, nakikinig ba yung ICC? At maaari ba yung magkaroon ng epekto sa kaso?
Hindi, hindi ko alam kung nakukuha rin ni Moto. And I'm sure, Gretchen, nung nandito ka, cover mo yung ICC, parang ang ICC walang pakialam sa nangyayari sa external. 'Di ba? Meron silang ganung parang clinical way of doing it na parang sige, ang daming noise pero well, wala hindi namin papakinggan yan kasi unang-una nasa pre-trial tayo tapos sa September 23 pa naman magsisimula, nasa submissions pa lang naman tayo na deadline na very soon, April 4 and 11 So hindi wala pa sa ganun. Pero yun na nga, tama rin naman may wisdom din naman yung wish nung dating pangulo na huwag niyo masyadong ungkatin, huwag niyo masyadong pintasan as early as now yung buong proseso because it will not it's not good for ito sa laban na gustong gawin ng depensa.
Mon, when it comes to the gathering outside, si Attorney Harry Roque, is he determined to be there almost every day? Any updates on his asylum request? There was in that report, the reporter said that there was a rumor of his application being approved. Did I get that correct?
Well, actually, he confirmed that the Netherlands has already accepted his application for asylum and the process will take 1 to 1.5 years. So, ang sinasabi ni Attorney Roque dito, kumbaga, during that time, hindi raw siya mauobliga or makukumpel na makabalik sa Pilipinas kung sakasakaling magsasagawa siya ng mga ganitong klaseng pagsali at pagsasalita against the administration. Kaya nga, he is very proud saying some kumbaga mga puna sa government at sinasabi nga niya na okay lang ako magsalita ng ganito kasi meron na akong isa na akong asylum seeker, nakakuha na ako dito sa Netherlands. So during this time, ang sinasabi din naman ni Attorney Roque, pinaprocess naman na nila yung pag-i-stayan niya dito rin sa Netherlands after niyang magtago for a while. Yun din ang words niya exactly. So he will be expected to be seen here in The Hague again, together with the supporters during the coming days. Yan ang isa sa mga kinonfirm niya over the weekend, Gretchen.
How about Attorney Cristina Conti? Jovi, natanong mo ba gaano katagal sila dyan? I mean, interesting verbal jabs over the weekend, but also this is gonna be a long process. Natanong niyo ba yun?
Ang alam ko medyo magtatagal pa siya dito pero hindi lang dahil dito sa ICC kasi alam ko itong week na to may mga days ako last week na hindi ko siya nakausap ng face to face kundi via parang quotes lang for via messaging kasi lumilipat sila ng like punta ng Brussels kasi merong lecture series so may mga ganon hindi lang because of this nagkataon okay lang na merong nangyayari malaki dito sa ICC at meron tayo at least dalawa silang sources natin, di ba? Siya at si Attorney Andres na at least yung magpapalanse nung because sabi nga nila may coverage tayo lagi ng nung Duterte side meron din tayo nung kabilang side.
Alright, okay. Tatanong natin ng mga concerns pa natin sa ating susunod na guest. But in the meantime, maraming salamat for joining us. Even if it's past midnight over there, we have Mon Walvis and Jovi Francisco reporting to us live from The Hague in Netherlands. ICC Assistant to Counsel Cristina Conti responds to Vice President Sara Duterte's remarks questioning the claim of 30,000 drug war deaths. Conti invited the Vice President to present her arguments directly to the ICC and, quote, see if they would be heard.
Inanayahan ko si VP Sara na dumulog at humarap sa ICC mismo at sabihin niya yung ganyang argumento. Tingnan natin kung pakikinggan siya. I understand that under Philippine jurisdiction, murder, if you look at it according to the elements, you need to name the victim. In crimes against humanity, you do not need to name all the victims.
Duterte questioned the figure, arguing that 181 pieces of evidence presented to the ICC did not support such a scale. Police records show around 6,000 drug war deaths, while human rights groups estimate 30,000, including vigilante killings.
Yes, but you have to prove that there were 30,000 victims. So how can you prove systematic killing of 30,000 victims if you do not have the names of 30,000 victims? You don't even have victims yung abogado nila.
Talking about naming names, House Deputy Majority Leader Paulo Ortega V has revealed a new set of fictitious names allegedly tied to the misuse of Vice President Sara Duterte's confidential funds. Dubbed Team Grocery, the names resemble food items including Beverly Claire Pampano, Miko Harina, Patty Ting, Ralph Josh Bacon, and Sala Kasim. Ortega said these were submitted by the Office of the Vice President to the Commission on Audit but do not match any official records from the Philippine Statistics Authority. Previous reports had already flagged suspicious names such as Mary Grace Piatos, Xiaome Ocho, and Jog De Asim. Ortega also revealed that 1,322 of the 1,992 supposed recipients of the OVP's confidential funds had no birth records. He warned that the growing number of fake names suggests a deliberate effort to fabricate records and conceal fund misuse. Don't go away. We'll be back with more right after this short break. Welcome back. You're still with us here on Morning Matters on One News. A road rage incident in Antipolo, Rizal escalated into a shooting on Sunday afternoon. Police said the suspect fired multiple shots during the confrontation, leaving 3 people injured. The victims were rushed to Kabading Hospital for medical treatment. The suspect is now in police custody and is facing 3 counts of frustrated homicide, along with violations of the Comprehensive Firearms and Ammunition Regulation Act and the Omnibus Election Code. Authorities are urging witnesses to come forward with any relevant information. A training flight turned fatal in Lingayen, Pangasinan after a Cessna plane crashed near the airport. The crash killed 31-year-old pilot Captain Nico Manogan and 25-year-old student pilot Brian Allen Okang. Authorities say the aircraft had just taken off when it lost control and crashed into a swampy area on the eastern side of the runway in Barangay Libsong East. The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines is now investigating the cause of the accident. Myanmar's earthquake death toll continues to rise as rescue teams struggle to reach affected areas. The 7.7 magnitude quake hit Friday, leaving at least 1,700 people dead and injuring thousands more. Junta Chief Senior General Min Aung Hlaing warns that the number of fatalities could still rise. Neighboring countries like India, China, and Thailand have sent aid, but residents in Mandalay and Sagaing say they have yet to receive help. Moreover, hospitals are overwhelmed and some collapsed in the quake, forcing patients to be treated outdoors. Myanmar's ongoing civil war and damaged infrastructure are slowing aid efforts. Meanwhile, 4 Filipinos remain missing. That's according to DFA Undersecretary for Migrant Workers Affairs, Eduardo De Vega. De Vega said among the missing are a married couple who were residing in a building that collapsed in Mandalay. Search and rescue operations are ongoing for the 2 other Filipinos who also live near the affected area. The U.S. Geological Survey predicts the final death toll could surpass 10,000 and losses could exceed the country's annual economic output. Now, for updates on that, we have Foreign Affairs Department Undersecretary Ed De Vega on the line. Welcome to the program, Yusek. Magandang umaga po.
Good morning.
Okay, the situation in Myanmar, what are the latest numbers so far?
Well, so far, I just heard you say that casualties could be 10,000. No, we don't have that yet, not 10,000, but about Filipinos, fortunately, there are no casualties confirmed yet, but we have those 4 who are still missing. There are 151 Filipinos registered in Mandalay in the epicenter, including those 4 who are accounted for. And, as mentioned, at least a couple lived in a condominium which collapsed. Myanmar does not have the technology, they say, or the means to search for survivors. So various countries are sending humanitarian contingents, including the Philippines. We will send a team, like we did before in Turkey, under similar circumstances. We open pray for our kababayans.
Apart from Myanmar, other countries, neighboring countries were also affected by this quake. Meron po ba tayong nadidetect doon ng mga Pilipinong naapektuhan na katulad ng sa Thailand po?
Meron po original effect pero wala pong nasawi o nawawala. No? Affected sila yung Friday kasi napaka-tense ng buhay dahil hindi makabalik ng building muna dahil check yung structural capability. So ganun po. However, Thailand is getting back to normal. Myanmar, no. The airport is not working. So that will complicate things also.
Speaking of complicating things, how challenging is it to get information from the government knowing that they are ruled by a military junta and they control almost all forms of media, radio, television, even the internet?
Well, in fairness, when the Philippines concerned, when we need help, they do give us info. Like when I went there more than a week ago para mag-process para ma-repatriate na yung mga kababayan natin na human trafficking victims across the border from Thailand, they did it. They approved it. So I'm sure they are cooperating with our embassy at least kasi and now they are very appreciative that we will send a contingent. So the problem is getting the whole picture of the entire country. But they are openly saying they need help. They're not hiding it. They need help. And sasagot yung world community, I believe.
Gaano karami pong Pilipino ang nasa Myanmar? At ano po ang nature ng kanilang trabaho? Malapit po ba sila doon sa naging center?
Teachers, mga estudyante, mga teachers po, 700 plus ang legal. I'm sorry, I'll have to cut short. I'm at the office and it's a flag ceremony po.
Okay.
Luckily, 4 lang nawawala po and we'll update you po.
Okay. Pwede po ba, bago po kayo umalis, pupuntahan ko po lang sa Qatar, no? Meron po mga naaresto for public demonstrations. What is the situation over there?
They are being visited by the embassy and we're providing legal assistance if needed. I think there's a chance they'll be released. Pero dapat sumunod na sila sa patakaran.
Okay.
Ng Qatar. We're not, hindi natin pinagbabawalan dahil sa atin, no? Qatar ang nagbabawalan ng rallies.
Okay, huling-huli pong katanungan, ano po yung mga bansa na pinagbabawal ang mga public demonstration para po sa kaalaman ng mga Pilipino at mga OFW?
Sa Western Europe, okay. Pero sa Middle East, right now, no. In not one country in the Middle East kung sa maraming OFWs, walang political demonstration muna.
Alright, okay. Marami po kaming katanungan pero sa susunod na lang, maraming salamat. It is a Monday after all and it is the flag ceremony over there. That was DFA Undersecretary Ed De Vega. Thank you so much for your time. Meanwhile, a new social weather station survey shows hunger in the Philippines has reached its highest level since COVID-19 lockdowns. The survey found that over 27% of respondents experienced involuntary hunger in the past 3 months. This marks a 6-point increase from February and a sharp rise from January. Hunger rates rose across all regions, with Visayas recording the highest at nearly 34%. The survey was conducted from March 15 to 20 with 1,800 respondents. Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back right after a short break. My name is Gretchen Ho, and this is Morning Matters. Joining us today to give us context about what's been happening and also his own candidacy, we have senatorial candidate Ariel Querubin. He is a retired Marine colonel and a recipient of the Medal of Valor, the country's highest military award. Let's hear his insights on pressing national issues. Welcome to our show.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity again, and good morning to all your televiewers. And it's nice to be back.
Okay, sir, I wanted to get first your thoughts on our top stories in the past weeks. As first a soldier and second as a Filipino. You are a military man. You are a Medal of Valor awardee, as we mentioned. And there have been questions thrown at the AFP and their involvement or their silence, as the Vice President puts it. Ano po ang tingin nyo sa nangyari sa involvement ng AFP doon po sa pagka-aresto sa dating Pangulo?
Na una-una sabihin ko muna sa kanila kung ano ba talaga yung posisyon natin dito dahil nababanggit naman natin sa mga debates na I'm not really in favor of our returning to the ICC, nor am I in favor of filing a case against the former president sa ICC, no? But nandito na to di ba? Kaya sabi ko nga, harapin na lang natin and ipagdasal natin at sana naman mabigyan siya ng fair trial at due process, no? With regards to the armed forces, you know naman what caused my incarceration last time, because I questioned the legitimacy of a sitting president, and I wanted to say lang na ang posisyon dapat ng armed forces always, no, they should be non-partisan, no, they shouldn't be involved in any ito kasi if you take sides, wala na the armed forces should always be the protector of the of the Constitution, di ba? They should always kasi pag sila ang nawalan ng credibility, di wala na tayo kasi sila lang ang pwedeng maglagay ba ng stability sa isang situation na magulo. That's the armed forces, no?
But yun nga, sabi ni Secretary Gibo Teodoro na ang naging role ng AFP dito ay mere assistance to the PNP. So, pagka ganun po, when the orders emanate from above, no matter, I mean, if it's legal or not, because there are questions over the legality of the arrest itself, the military should just follow orders.
Yeah, they really should. And besides, it's really law enforcement naman, no? So, police talaga yung involved dito.
Pero siguro sa military, sa Villamor kasi lumipad from, no?
Yeah, yun lang. Wala naman sa kanilang, wala naman orders from above, yung nakakataas sa kanila.
Okay, but you also said in an interview that, I mean, you were a coup plotter. And you also said that that was a military exercise that you used before. Where does that come in? Now, when you say we have to draw the line here, na hindi na to tama, na kailangan na nating magpakita ng ating political will, or as a Filipino, I will not let this happen.
You know what? At that time, we had this interpretation of we were the protectors of the people and the state. At that time, ang nakaano sa'yo,
lalaban.
Oppressive yung gobyerno na noon time na yan, di ba? So, yun ang tingin namin. And besides, the government then was perceived to be left-leaning. And kami, like in my case, I have fought all the armed forces and the armed groups in the Philippines in actual combat, the CPP-NP, MNLF, MILF, Abu Sayyaf. So, ganun na lang yung namin na pagka yung CPP-NPA, sabi ko, kailangan nung kabata, that was really because of idealism and the fire of youth, no? But, that chapter in my life brought me bitter lessons. And besides, I've been telling them, kung hindi rin lang united yung armed forces, no? At tayo mag-away-away uli. Kasi we get involved, no? May mga maging partisan tayo, di ba? Would you believe, aminin na natin ngayon, nung time na yan, na nag-launch kami, nung military exercise na yan, hati yung armed forces, So, the animosity that was created from soldiers fighting each other took many years to heal. So, yung mga naputulan ng kamay, every time na makita nila, very traumatic, no? Ako kunwari, yung pumatay sa akin, kaibigan ko, no? We saw each other, after how many years, no? He retired a 2-star general. Nung makita kami, sabi niya, Bok, what a day, what a day. Two distinguished gentlemen finally meet again. On Hearts Day, nagyakapan kami, But, wala naman akong sama ng loob kasi hindi personal. Siya yung nagbibigay sa akin ng support sa mga skirmishes ko, yung mga maliliit encounters ko noon, no? Close air support kasi pilot siya na si Sikorsky. He didn't know na ako yung bumabaril sa kanya sa baba. No, nag-release siya ng rocket na ganyan. Ako yung tinamaan. So namatay tayo. Di ba? I was brought to the morgue of the Quirino Labor Hospital. I was clinically dead.
So na-realize niyo po na, na hindi dapat?
Hindi dapat na
mag-express ng political leanings ang mga sundalo.
Yeah.
Up to where does that extend? Because we also see retired military men on YouTube, on Facebook, voicing out against the government. Some have even called for the overthrow of an administration.
Yeah, if you look, they're entitled to it. They can say whatever they want to say. Pansinin mo, di ba polarized din sila? Yung may isang grupo rin. Ganun talaga eh. Pagka nag-retire ka na.
Pwede na?
Yeah, in my case, for example, I can speak my mind out.
Okay.
Yeah, pwede na yan. Pero habang nasa loob ka ng institution, you're still active, you remain, yung apolitical ko minsan nasosobrahan ng gamit. Kasi we know for a fact.
Pero bakit po ngayon lang yan? In the past administration, we did see soldiers doing the fist bump, for one.
Ibang usapan din naman yan. Yung fist pump na ganyan, hindi naman yun, no?
Pwede ba yun? Kung wari, it's sitting party, sitting president, and then you do the sign of the president, is that legal? Is that allowed? Isn't that also a form of political expression?
Personally, hindi ako, it doesn't sit well with me. Personally. But yun na nga, depende nga sa mga nakaupo eh.
So pwede nilang disiplinahin yung kanilang sundalo, pero depende nga po dun sa leadership. Tama po yun.
Yeah, depende nga sa namumuno eh. Kung tayo siguro namuno nun, ganun yung natin, patakaran natin.
Okay.
Diba?
Bakit po kaya pag retired military ang nag-call for an overthrow of an administration, ay hindi po nakakasuhan ng sedition? I mean, ang dami ng kaso natin na napapakinggan. I mean, ngayon, sa mga vloggers or kaya sa sa mga naririnig natin online, I mean, inciting to sedition is always brought up every time there is, there are leanings towards that. I mean, towards the inciting to anger, towards the overthrow of the sitting administration. Bakit mo kaya ganun?
Well, may mga sinampahan ng kaso rin, ha?
Na sundalo?
Na sundalo. Even mga pulis. Pero they're all, pag titignan mo, they're all retired. They're all retired. And pagka para civilian ka na rin. No? Kung may violations na meron kang nagawa, na inciting to sedition, for example, then they can always file a case against you.
Okay, puntahan po natin ang mas interesting part of this conversation. I mean, what have you heard in your capacity as a former general? Ano pong naririnig po ninyo sa AFP about what's been happening? There were rumors of resignations within the ranks. Totoo po ba yun?
I have, ito nga dapat sana, dapat tayo lahat very discerning ba? Kasi there are so many fake news. Nagsilipa na. Ayan, nakakalungkot lang kasi sana naman, it's all about, alam mo yung, they try to agitate, they try to left and right yan. Sundalo raw siya. Pag tingnan mo, retired na pala na matagal. No? Ang dami niyan. So, sa akin, iba na ngayon yung men in uniform kaysa yung dati nung kami nasa active pa. They're now, say, more professional. And, the trust rating nga ng armed forces, ang taas eh. No? So, yung mga ganun, mass resignation, it's part of, pang-agitate din. No?
So, mag-ingat tayo. Let's be discerning about what we see and here online. Kayo po ba ay naging biktima na rin ng fake news? And how is this campaign for you different from the past ones? Sasagutin po natin yan pagkatapos muna nitong short break. Don't go away. Morning Matters, we'll be back. And we are still joined by senatorial candidate Ariel Querubin here on Morning Matters. Let's get to your candidacy. This is the second time you are running as a senator. Bakit po kayo tumatakbo ulit at ano po ang balak isulong?
Well, ganito yan, Gretchen, no? Kasi the first time I ran in 2010, I was in jail. I was never allowed to campaign, not even once, but I was considered winnable. Right after I got out of jail, I was engaged by a big conglomerate. No? So, ang tagal natin na punta sa corporate. Na. At wala naman tayong, parang sabi ko nga, it was really a blessing in disguise kasi God had to take away my freedom for me to realize that career is not everything in life. So, I took care of my family. No? So, as days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, months into years, I became closer to my children. So hopefully this year, all of them will be professionals.
But what difference do you think can you make in the Senate in terms of actual crafting of legislation? And also, what would differentiate your leadership style from the likes of Ping Lacson, Senator Bato?
Well, you know what? Sabi ko nga, Gretchen, ang kailangan natin sa Senado ngayon, isang matapang na senador. At sino ba sa kanila? Lahat ng mga sabihin na natin, ang naranasan no Ariel Querubin. Tumira tayo sa Jolo, Basilan, Tawi-Tawi. No? Zamboanga del Sur, Zamboanga del Norte, Lanao del Sur, Lanao del Norte, Southern Palawan, Bicol, Camarines Sur, Camarines Norte, Central Luzon, Bataan, Zambales, Pampanga. Anong common dito? Insurgency. Anong cause ng insurgency na yan? Di ba number one, corruption? So corruption pa rin. Bata pa ko, corruption na. Hanggang ngayon, I cannot take this sitting down.
Pero hindi po ba nawakasan na rin ang problema sa insurgency? And now, hindi na po interior security ang iniisip natin, kundi
External na.
external na.
Well, ganito pa rin yan. Ako talaga naniniwala ng insurgency, violent extremism, and even terrorism. The best antidote to this is good governance, aided by a well-disciplined men in uniform. So, kung wala man ngayon mga insurgency na yan, maayos na yung papatakbo ng isang chief executive, yung local government unit.
Pero iba po yung paggawa, paglikha ng batas sa trabaho po ng isang sundalo. Ano po yung mga naging effort nyo?
Well, yung experience natin, Gretchen, no, na-assign tayo, napunta tayo ng corporate, nabigyan din tayo ng award ng TNAAA, no? Cavalier Award in the field of private enterprise.
What laws would you push for if you are elected as senator?
Yeah, I'll push for madali lang na matandaan BET, di ba? BET. Narinig ko kanina na ang problema natin is hunger. Yan, busog na tiyan, yung B. Yung E naman is edukasyon, dekalidad na edukasyon. At yung T, trabaho at sapat na kita, or teritoryo at seguridad. At yung ko, kasi bet ko, di ba? Corruption na labanan natin kasi yung Ariel Querubin, galit na galit siya sa mga corrupt na tao.
Paano po natin lalabanan ang korupsyon? Narinig po natin sa halos lahat ng kandidato.
Yeah, totoo.
Pero paano?
Well,
it's ingrained in the system as many politicians would acknowledge.
Well, you know what? Sabi ko nga, kailangan lang dito yung mga mahalal natin na talaga nagpakita ng tunay na pagmamahal nila sa bayan at pagmamalasakit nila sa taong bayan. They should have political will. Kasi naandyan na lahat, marami ng batas na mag-address itong corruption na to. Pero yung mga nilalagay natin, either they don't have the political will, nor they have fear of God. Kaya left and right ang nila.
Do you think that it is right that or it is Congress exerting its political will over this investigation into the confidential funds? Do you agree that it has a need for stricter oversight?
Oh, yes, but let's do it properly, no? Kasi maaring masyado na tayong na polarized, di ba? Na sasabihin nila pag nag-imbestiga sila, that's in aid of hindi na in aid of legislation, kundi in aid of persecution. Depende na nga
Pero
sa
hindi
anong
po ba
side
parte
ka.
rin sa role ng Kongreso yung power of the purse na binabantayan nila kung paano nagagastos yung binabudget nila? It is actually nasa batas po, nasa constitution po yun.
Yes.
Nakasama sa function niya.
Yes, totoo yan. Pero pansinin mo, pagka nakabangga sila na may pangalan na, may malaking tao, meron na bang na kulong na smugglers, na kulong na mga hoarders? Pansinin natin.
No, but focusing solely on confidential funds, how would you propose for it to have stricter oversight?
You know what, yung confidential fund kasi, akala natin, gaya ng intelligence fund na hindi na-audit. No, nagbibigay ka kasi ng parang pang-clear mo dito. And yun, dapat stricto sila dito kasi sana magamit lahat ito para sa national security.
Pero bakit po kaya ganun? Maraming mga grocery items ang naging pangalan dun. Diba, hindi po ba nakakapagtaka po yun na siyempre may safe house na hundreds of millions ang nagastos doon. And we are seeing this, I mean, not just with the Vice President's office in mind, but also other offices that are receiving confidential funds. For example, the Office of the President is also receiving confidential funds. Bakit po ganun? I mean, with your knowledge as a military person,
sa totoo lang kasi dapat COA lang din naman yung COA kasi ito yung agency na merong ano dito. Parang yan ang regulator na di ba?
So may merit po itong investigasyon?
Well,
Huwag lang dalhin sa political persecution.
Yes.
So may merit po.
May merit naman. Yeah.
Okay. Punta po natin ang West Philippine Sea. Kayo po ay bumisita sa Pag-asa 2 months ago.
Yes.
Ano po ang napansin ninyo? I mean, what has that brought you?
Well, nalulungkot lang ako kasi nagpakuha ako ng picture ba doon sa dulo ng runway. Ang background China Coast Guard at saka yung mga militia ships ng China. So nakakalungkot lang kasi early 80s, Marines na nagbabantay dyan. We left the area 1985 noong nag-escalate ba yung insurgency problem natin sa Bicol. No? When I went back, 1999, I was a battalion commander. Naka-recover kami ng isang laptop computer. Ang nakalagay doon strengthened foothold along the shorelines. Ang CPP-NPA is Mao-oriented, Mao-inspired. So alam natin China yan. So yung strengthened foothold along the shorelines, hindi naman kailangan na matalino mag-assess nito. Yung mischief reef was taken over by China 1995. So it has something to do with that. Kasi napakaganda na transshipment point, not only for firearms, for illegal drugs, and smuggled goods. And alam natin, kasi ako, lumaki ko sa intelligence, allegedly, the firearms that were given to our secessionist groups, particularly the MNLF, came from Pakistan, a surrogate of China. So ano ibig sabihin nito? Ginulo lang tayo ng ginulo ng China internally. Ma-focus lahat ang modernization natin sa ground force, napabayaan natin yung West Philippine Sea. Kaya nakakalungkot, pagbalik ko ron, wala akong makitang barko natin. No?
But do you think that the administration is moving in the right direction? Si U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth was here on Friday reaffirming their ironclad commitment to the Philippines. Naniniwala po ba kayo na pagka nag-ipitan, the United States will come and really help us?
We have yet to really find it out if that is really true. Kasi nakita naman natin,
But kung kayo po saan po kayo lulugar?
Well, sabi ko naniniwala ako when push comes to shove, dapat robust ang reserve force natin. And we should never be reliant on any superpower, dependent on any superpower. for forever. Kasi ngayon, nataon lang na we are being pushed by or bullied by a superpower, we don't have any recourse than to look for a big brother na sasandalan mo. Ganyan ang sitwasyon natin. But with the signing of the Self-Reliance Defense Posture Revitalization Act, now we can start na to be self-reliant kasi kung nakita natin na pwede tayong tumayo on our own, we can get more concessions.
And how can we achieve that? I mean, with a population of 100 plus million, vis-a-vis China, hindi ko na alam yung population nila, billion na siguro.
Well, nobody wants to go to war. Ang kailangan lang natin, ipakita na kaya natin din tumindig on our own.
But how do we do that? How do we strengthen our claim over areas like, for example, Bajo de Masinloc, na pinapaligiran na talaga ng Chino, na sinasabi, nag-file na sila ng maritime boundaries nila doon. Paano po natin gagawin yun?
Ang sabi ko nga, it's all preponderance of forces. Ang labanan ngayon dyan. Kung ang bubuli sa atin, 100 na barko sila, tayo 2, 3, 4, sabihin mo na. Dapat, yan ang unang umpisahan natin. Kailangan natin i-fast track yung modernization ng lahat ng security and defense forces, no? Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, even yung BIFAR. No? I-fast track natin kasi sabi ko nga, hindi tayo forever na maging dependent dito sa natin.
Pero bakit ang tagal po, ano? I mean, yun po yung obvious na solusyon. Pero pag tinignan mo yung budget, 35 million ba? Tama? 35 billion na lang from 50. Nakat pa yung modernization program. I mean, kumbaga sa resources, medyo said talaga tayo.
Sa akin, Gretchen, sabi ko nga sana bawasan lang nila, no? Kasi matataba na yung bulsa nila Bawasan lang nila yung nilalagay nila sa bulsa nila, ilaan nila sa modernization ng Air Forces.
Bilang panghuli, sa po dami kayo aabutan, I mean, sa inyong kampanya, kayo po ay nasa 25th to 27th sa latest SBS survey. What's up for you in the next 45 days?
Well, ako, hindi tayo masyado, I've been through a lot of more difficult battles before and came out victorious. Noong 2010 elections, ganyan din yung number ko. Pero nung 2 weeks before the 2010 elections, I was considered winnable.
Hindi pa po kayo sumasayaw?
Hindi.
Sa TikTok?
Nagpo-push up ako. Kaysa naman magsayaw-sayaw ka o kanta-kanta ka, mag-push-ups ka na lang.
Wala FBR,
at least you're preparing for you should be physically fit para mentally and
Alright. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras ngayon. We have a senatorial candidate, Ariel Querubin, joining us. Of course, he is a Medal of Valor awardee, as we mentioned, and we give you the highest honors as a soldier. Pagdating po sa labanan ng politika, good luck po sa inyo.
Yeah, maraming salamat.
That's it for today's episode of Morning Matters. My name is Gretchen Ho. We are One News, all sides, all the time.